Imagine an island, a beautiful one, with mountains, rivers, and beaches, like a paradise in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. But this island has a secret. It's divided into two parts, and each part is like its own little world. On one side, you have the Dominican Republic, with its bustling cities, fancy resorts, and people from all over the world coming to visit. On the other side, you have Haiti, a country that has faced so many hardships, it's hard to even count. But how did this happen? What dark secrets did the French and Spanish colonizers leave behind that still haunt these nations? And why did the Dominican Republic thrive under the shadow of dictators while Haiti crumbled? The story of Haiti and the Dominican Republic is like that of two siblings who grew up in the same home but ended up taking entirely different paths in life. A tale of two colonies. Well, it all started a long time ago, when European ships sailed into the Caribbean. The Spanish were the first to arrive, and they claimed the entire island for themselves. They called it Hispaniola, but the French also wanted a piece of the action. So, after some wheeling and dealing, the Spanish agreed to give the western part of the island to the French. And that's how the island initially got split into two colonies, Saint-Domingue, which was French, and Santo Domingo, which was Spanish. Now, here's where things start to get really different for the two colonies. The French turned Saint-Domingue into a money-making machine. They brought in slaves from Africa to work on sugar plantations. It was a brutal life for the slaves, with long hours and harsh conditions. The French got rich, but at a terrible human cost. On the other side, the Spanish colony was a bit more laid back. They also had slaves and plantations, but not to the extreme level of the French. The Spanish were more interested in farming and cattle ranching. And their society was a mix of Europeans, Africans, and native people. So, right from the start, the two colonies were on different paths. Now, let's talk about freedom, because that's a huge part of this story. Imagine being a slave in Saint-Domingue, working from sunrise to sunset with no hope for a better life. But then, something incredible happened. The slaves rose up against their masters in a revolt that shook the world. It was a David versus Goliath kind of fight, and guess what? David won. The slaves defeated one of the most powerful armies in the world and declared themselves a free and independent nation. They renamed Saint-Domingue to Haiti, which means mountainous island in the native Tiano language. This was in 1804, and it was a big deal. Haiti was the first country in the Americas to abolish slavery and the second country in the Western Hemisphere to win its independence, right after the United States. Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, Dominican Republic was also fighting for its freedom. But it was a different kind of fight. For a while, Dominican Republic was actually ruled by Haiti. That's right, the Haitians took over the whole island after they won their independence. But the Dominicans weren't happy about this. They wanted to be their own country, with their own culture and traditions. So, in 1844, they fought back and won their independence from Haiti. It was a moment of great pride for the Dominican people, but it also set the stage for a complicated relationship between the two countries. Governance and economy. When it comes to running a country, the people in charge make a huge difference. Think of them like the captains of a ship. If the captain knows what they're doing, the ship sails smoothly. But if the captain is clueless, the ship could end up sinking. That's pretty much what happened with Haiti and the Dominican Republic. The people who led these countries took them in totally different directions. Let's start with Haiti. After winning its freedom, you'd think things would get better, right? Well, not exactly. Haiti had a tough time from the get-go. Most countries didn't want anything to do with it because they were scared of the idea of a country run by people who used to be slaves. So, Haiti was kind of on its own, trying to figure things out without much help. Over the years, Haiti had leaders who just couldn't get it right. Some were greedy and took money for themselves instead of helping the people. Others were bullies who used force to get their way. And then some meant well but just didn't know how to fix the country's problems. Even today, Haiti is struggling. The country is super poor, and the government isn't very stable. Just recently, in 2021, the president of Haiti was assassinated, which made things even more unstable. It's a tough situation, and there's no easy fix. Now, let's hop over to the Dominican Republic. Remember, they also had to fight for their freedom, but from Haiti, not from a European country. After they became their own country, things were a bit shaky at first. They had their fair share of bad leaders too, but Dominican Republic started to get its act together. They had leaders who were focused on making the country better. Sure, they had some bumps along the way, like the time they were ruled by a dictator named Rafael Trujillo, who was really bad. He ruled for over 30 years and did some terrible things. But after he was gone, the country started to move in the right direction. Today, Dominican Republic has a government that's way more stable than Haiti's. They have elections where people can vote for their leaders. And those leaders are doing a pretty good job of running the country. The economy is doing well, and tourists are coming from all over the world to visit. As of 2023, Dominican Republic has a population of about 10.7 million people and a form of government that includes 2 legislative houses. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what's happening in Haiti. Economic disparities between the two countries are also stark. Haiti's economy is struggling, to say the least. As of 2023, the country is in a dire state. Gang violence and extreme weather have led to insecurity, hunger, and business closures. The United Nations even had to approve a 1-year mission led by Kenyan police to restore security. But there's a catch. The Kenyan police have a history of human rights abuses. So who knows how that will turn out. On top of that, a dispute with Dominican Republic over a canal led to the closing of the border and the suspension of visas for Haitians. Inflation in Haiti is another monster. In July, it fell to a 10-month low of 39.7%, but that's still sky high. And guess what? It's expected to ease a bit, but will still be higher than last year. If you're as hooked on this real-life drama as I am, do me a favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping tales like this one. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. Now, let's flip the coin and take a look at the Dominican Republic. Their economy is booming compared to Haiti. Over the past 2 decades, it's been one of the fastest growing in the region. But hold on, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Growth is expected to slow down from 4.9% in 2022 to 3.1% in 2023. Why? Well, there are several reasons. First, low productivity growth is starting to catch up with them. They've also got their own set of problems like climate change disasters and market distortions. But here's the kicker. Despite the growth, they haven't been able to create quality jobs. High inflation hit them too, affecting mainly the vulnerable population. More than 40% of Dominicans live in vulnerable conditions, and climate change is making it worse. So why such a stark difference between the two? Well, it's complicated. Haiti's economy is plagued by political instability and corruption we just discussed earlier. The Dominican Republic, on the other hand, has been more stable and has made significant strides in market-oriented reforms. However, both countries face environmental challenges. Haiti's deforestation is extreme, leading to soil erosion and reduced agricultural output. The Dominican Republic is grappling with the impacts of climate change, including more frequent and severe storms. The latter, nevertheless, has started taking steps to diversify its energy sources and invest in renewable energy. Social and cultural divides. Haiti and Dominican Republic share the same island, but you'd never know it by looking at how different their societies are. But why is that? Well, it's not just about money, it's about culture too. We already know that Dominican Republic has a mixed culture, influenced by Spain, Africa, and indigenous people. Haiti, on the other hand, has a culture deeply rooted in African traditions, thanks to the majority of its population being descendants of African slaves. This difference in culture affects everything, from religion to music to food. In Dominican Republic, you'll find a lot of people who practice Catholicism, which the Spanish colonizers brought over. In Haiti, however, voodoo is a significant religion, a blend of African spiritual beliefs and Catholicism. This difference in religious practices has led to misunderstandings and even conflicts between the two nations. For example, many Dominicans view voodoo as a form of witchcraft, leading to negative stereotypes about Haitians. And it's not just religion, the languages are different too. In Dominican Republic, Spanish is the official language, while in Haiti, it's French and Haitian Creole. This language barrier makes communication between the two countries difficult, further widening the gap between them. Even the music is different. In Dominican Republic, you'll hear a lot of merengue and bachata, while in Haiti, you'll hear compa and rara. These different musical styles reflect the diverse cultural influences in each country. The role of international relations. Now, let's talk about how other countries play a role in this divide. You see, both Haiti and Dominican Republic have had their fair share of international involvement, but in very different ways. The Dominican Republic has been a favorite for foreign investors and tourists, especially from the United States. This has led to economic growth and development. Haiti, however, has not been so lucky. Despite receiving billions of dollars in aid, especially after the devastating earthquake in 2010, the country has struggled to improve its living conditions. You see, in Haiti, a lot of the aid money goes through the government, which has been plagued by corruption. Here also enters politics. The United States has had a long history of involvement in both countries, but in different capacities. In Dominican Republic, the U.S. has mostly been an ally, supporting various governments and even sending troops to stabilize the country during political unrest. In Haiti, however, the relationship has been more complicated. The U.S. has both supported and ousted Haitian leaders, creating a sense of instability and mistrust. And let's not forget about the United Nations. They've been involved in both countries, but have faced criticism for their actions or lack thereof. In Haiti, the UN has been accused of not doing enough to improve living conditions, while in the Dominican Republic, they've been criticized for not addressing human rights issues, especially concerning the treatment of Haitian immigrants. The big question now is, can these two nations ever rewrite their tale into one of shared prosperity? The answer could change how we think about being good neighbors when times are tough. That's it for today. Hope you got value while watching the video. And if you are interested in more videos about economics, make sure to check out the video linked on the screen next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.